And a very good everyone. So today we will learn on Power BI based on this given data. So for example, if just say you are working as an executive whereby you deal the financial reports for the subsidiaries. So you want to know whether the company of the subsidiaries, whether they are making a profit or loss, and you want to actually show to your manager. That means which are the profitable companies, which are the loss making companies, and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import this particular information to Power BI. So first thing is you need to know where you save, what is the file. So I'll go to Power BI, blank report, and I'll click import data from Excel. Reason being is because my data is the source data is in the form of Excel. So I will just go to where you save. So for example, if you save in desktop, you go to desktop. You save in downloads, you go to download. Or if you save in OneDrive, you go to OneDrive. But in this case, I save it in my documents over here. And I'm going to press open. So once I press open, you will notice that right now a box will appear. So in this particular box, what we need to do is we need to tick the particular worksheet. Alright, so I'm going to tick on this worksheet. So the name of the worksheet is basically data. So I'm going to tick this worksheet over here. And I'm going to go to transform data because I want to go to Power Query and do the cleaning. So go to transform data. So when you go to transform data, you will notice that you will be navigated to Power Query Editor. So this is where I'll do the cleaning. I don't want this first two columns, so I can just select these two and remove. And if I don't want the first row to third row, what I can do is I can go to remove row. You can also remove top row, or you can also remove blank row because all the row are actually null, which is blank. So remove blank row. And then what you can do is you can actually use first row as header. So now my responsibility is right now is I need to know whether the subsidiaries are making profit and loss, and I want to know what is the profit, what is the loss, and so on. So what I'm going to do is I can actually do this in three ways. So I'm going to show you the first way. What I'm going to do is, so I select the revenue, then I select the expenses, I go to add column. So over here we have add column. So I go to add column, and under add column we do have standard. So what I want to do is I want to subtract. So subtract over here. So this one will tell me whether the particular companies are making profit or loss. So over here, when the revenue is lesser than expenses, so over here it will show like they are making negative, which is loss. So I can name it over here profit / loss. There you go. So this is done. And then I also want to show like a status so that my manager can see which subsidiaries are profit making, which subsidiaries are loss making. So in this case, what I can do is I can actually use the conditional column. So over here, there's a conditional column. So this particular column name is profit and loss. So I'm going to click here, profit loss. If just say it's greater than 0, then it is making profit. Otherwise, this one is making loss, this company. So basically, this conditional column is like the if function whereby you have a logic case, true and false. So over here, I'll just name it as status. And okay. So there you go. So right now, if a company is making profit, it will show you a profit. If just say it's having a negative, then it's loss. So I'll just name it as a text format. So this way you can go to Power Query and you can add these two columns. So if you want to go back to Power BI, you go to Home and you click Close and Apply. Eventually, it will be loaded to Power BI. But if just say I want to do in Power BI itself. Okay, so in Power BI itself, you can actually do it, perform a calculation in new column. Meaning to say, I can go to my new column over here. So just now what I did is I did the calculation in profit and loss and status in Power Query. You can do the same thing in new column. So I want to go to new column. So you can go to new column over here. So I'm going to put this profit / loss. Okay. And I want to name it as 2. Okay. So what I'm going to do is the revenue minus the expenses. So revenue, data revenue, because the name of the data set, the name of the table, the name of the worksheet is data, and the name of the column is revenue minus expenses. Enter. And just like that, we are able to calculate the loss as well. You can do in Power Query, or you can also do in this table view as well. Then I'm going to create another column. So this column is basically to know whether this one is making loss or making profit. So negative balance means it's making loss. Positive balance means it's making profit. So go to new column, and over here I'll put here status 2. And over here what I'm going to do is I want to show that, so if So if just say this profit loss 2 is greater than 0, then it's profit. Otherwise, it is loss. And there you go. So this is where you have your data. So you can do a calculation in Power Query. You can also do a calculation in the new columns over here. Or you can also use new measure DAX to calculate the profit loss and also to determine the status as well. So you can go to new measure. So over here the formula bar will appear. So I'm going to write here profit slash loss, and I'm going to put here 3. So in the thing about new measure is you cannot simply write revenue. Even though the name of the column is revenue, you're not able to do that, because if you look over here, this revenue column and expenses column is a numbers column. So in this case, we need to start with sum first. So sum of what? Sum of revenue minus with sum of expenses, and enter. And just like that, we will have profit and loss tree. So this is a new measure. When you look like a calculator, this is a new measure. This is a new column, and this is the calculation that we made in Power Query. Now let me do one more time. So new measure again. So this time I want to know the status. So I'm going to put here status tree. Why I cannot put the same name? Because in this particular section, I can only have the name once. I cannot have another duplicate name. So I'm going to put here status tree, and I'm going to use if. So if profit loss tree is greater than 0, then I'm going to name it profit. Otherwise, I'm going to name it loss. And enter. And just like that, you have the status tree. So the interesting part is, if just say you have a list of companies. So I'm going to choose a slicer over here. So we have a slicer, and what I'm going to do is I want to choose the subsidiaries name. So we have the subsidiaries. There's many subsidiaries actually. So I want it to appear as a drop-down list. And the values, I make it 20 so that it looks bigger. And the slicer header, so I put here 20 so that it looks bigger. Okay, so now this is basically our drop-down list. So what I want to do is I want to create a cut. So I can create a cut over here. So this cut here to show me the profit and loss. So you can use the new measure. So we have about 314,000 overall, which is profit. So over here, you can choose any company you want. So it will show you whether the company is making profit or loss, and you can clear filter and so on. Okay, but now if just say, if you see here carefully, when I click this company, it is showing me loss. What if just say I want it in full number and I want it to appear in accounting format? So I click it over here. I go to format your visual, call out value. Instead of display units of auto, I put here none. And what if just say I want also the comma and a bracket? So I go to model view, and under model view, I have to click on this profit loss tree, or you can click the other as well. And then I go to the properties pane over here, and I go under, so here we have format. Instead of whole number, I choose here as custom. And what I'm going to do is the custom will be hashtag indicating a number, comma 0. The purpose of comma 0 is to have 1,000 separator. Semicolon is separates positive and negative. Open bracket, hashtag, comma 0, close bracket, enter. So right now the purpose of comma is to make 1,000 separator, and the purpose of semicolon is to separate positive and negative. And over here we have open bracket, close bracket. So the open bracket means it's actually referring to a negative number. So over here you'll notice it is appearing in a negative number. But what my intention is, I want to actually show to my manager that what are the top 10 profitable companies. So what you can do is you can actually create a slicer, and based on the slicer, what I want to know is what are the profit and loss. So you can choose any of the status. So maybe I'll just choose the status. So here, take it over here. Okay, so I'll just click this, and maybe I can choose the status, or you can also choose the status over here, or you can also choose the status over here. Okay, you choose the status, and then after that here we have profit, and then we have loss. So if you just say you want the tile, you can go to slicer settings, and then you choose the tile. Okay, so here we have it like this. So this is the tile. So here we have profit, here we have loss. And if just say I want to know which companies are involved, so what I do is I click a table, and I tick the subsidiaries, and I also will tick the revenue and losses accordingly. So over here what you see is, you see a lot of companies. So I want to arrange it accordingly. So here we notice, okay, so if loss, these are the loss making companies, these are the profit making companies. So if just say I want to know the top 10, what I can do is I can go here. So we have subsidiary name is all. So instead of basic filtering, I choose here top N. and over here I can put here 10. So 10, and then what I do is I will drag this profit and loss, put it here, apply filter, and then just like that you will notice that it is 640,000. That means the top 10 subsidiaries, they have a profit accumulating about 640,000. So for loss, we also have the top performing loss companies. Okay, if just say you want to know the worst, instead of just clicking top end, we can also click for bottom to determine what are the worst performing companies. So basically in this case, the interesting part is we are able to know what are the profit making companies and we are able to know what is the loss making companies. So if just say in this case, let me just clear filter. Alright, so right now I'm going to click it over here, and if just say the profit and loss, really I want to actually know whatever is greater than 0. So I'm going to put here, so this one is greater than and greater than 0. So greater than 0, and here what I'm going to put is I'm going to put here 5. So over here you will see here we have the top 5 profitable companies. I'm going to copy and paste. Okay, so here over here, and this thing over here, let me just remove this. So I will just remove this, and maybe you can just remove. Okay, so here we notice that we have about all these are profit companies. What you can do is you can just go here less than 0, enter. So what happened is it will automatically show me the loss making companies, but I don't want to know all. I want to know the bottom 5. So I click here bottom, I click here 5, and then profit and loss, I drag it over here and apply filter. So over here what we can understand is these are the loss making companies. So we have the top 5 profitable companies, we also have the bottom 5 loss making companies. So this can help your manager to actually understand what is the top performing company and the worst performing company.